answer that with the Renekton and a Gragas, most likely going over to Gov.
Yeah, this is looking great. Boom Esports have played a fantastic Gragas as well, coming with explosive cast to set things up, and it can also defuse a Hextech Ultimatum if done right with the timing. So Noel or Shiba going on the Camille is still going to be a very good flex. And alongside with the Ziggs, who can still go into the bottom lane. BURIRAM United haven't shown the full card when you have the Twisted Fate here being the real card dealer for Boom Esports.
I was about to highlight that the Baby Cage combo, Hextech Ultimatum plus the Mega Inferno Bomb will be very much useful, but Boom Esports, they pulled out Twisted Fate and they also got their hands on J4. So the initiate potential here is you have the Cataclysm and the Cask. So a lot of damage for both teams.
Yeah, I'm looking at the whole BURIRAM United roster here just smiling, and I think they might just be laughing about, you're never gonna get your cinch anyways, but you know what? Let's play something that requires less of a brain power here. Since is just spears, and spears. Just go right in, pick somebody off, and I think it can definitely start up any sort of good fight for BURIRAM United's favor. And yet again, if anything goes wrong, go in for with the Crescent Sweep. He's just swept the ball away. Is this a first-time Sona that we're seeing here for Boom Esports?
It seems like it. I mean, I was staring at it for the last few seconds. Is he gonna lock it in? Apparently he did. First singer and instrumentalist rather for the SCA champs. What are your thoughts about this contra?
Well, I crossed my arms and it's starting to figure, is Sona actually better than a Seraphine pick that's actually left available? Because both kind of essentially do the same thing, with one having the longer range on that Encore, but I guess a more frequent usage of pokes as well as heals in the lane will do them good as well.
It's got so many flexes. There are so many possibilities with this composition coming out of Boom Esports. Cross your arms. It makes you feel maybe a little bit smarter. But I tell you, some very smart people are casting teams. So let's take it away, guys.
Thanks a bunch, Skimmy. Looking forward to how this game is gonna play out. We're looking back at Bracket A, and they have tossed every expectation out the window. I don't even know what to look forward to anymore. TJ, I know off camera I've been slowly losing your respect, but I feel like you've had a couple of ideas how this one's gonna play out.
I feel so smart right now. Thank you for the tip, Skimmy. Yeah, I do have a couple of ideas, because the way that early game, once we saw the rest of that draft finish, once that Sona came in, is really interesting to me. You have Sona in the late game as this kind of game-ending carry threat for Boom, and during the mid-game, they have so much CC.
We also have a quick look at the final picks for both these teams, where we're going to end up with this game. And a couple questions have to be answered here, TJ. Boom Esports, they took that game off of Divine at the start. And moving into this one, it's going to be quite curious if they're going to be able to keep this one up.
Over on the BURIRAM side, I think you have to pay attention to their early game, especially in this matchup.
So let's see what we have from both these teams as BURIRAM United go up against Boom Esports in our second match of the day. It's another best of 5. A lot of eyes on how Boom Esports will play this one out.
Boom, over on the right-hand side of your screen, are going to be relying on those CC chains. Look for the Renekton to follow up the gold card. Look at the J4 Cataclysm to follow up the gold card. Look at basically every stun on this team to follow up the gold card. Once you get into the mid-late game, it's really hard to avoid those entry picks, because you're going to have Rapid Fire Cannon increasing the range of Fly Arthur's stuns. So if Boom can get there, they have a really devastating teamfight comp because of the amount of follow-up behind that.
Yeah, look at how interactive that is. Gold card, after I think we've seen 2 so far. Fly Arthur, he's stacking up the gold cards. He's getting ready for that. He's practicing, warming up to make sure he has that crowd control of the man. I'm also pretty curious to see how else we're going to see the Baron lane kind of play out. When we heard the interview from BRU, definitely mentioned Noel is one of the key players to watch out for. As well as another match with Invade, with What the Jest. So that one's coming up later. For now, Camille up against Renekton, and I was talking a little bit to Omo about this. Camille's a champion you don't really want to leave open, but they've got Renekton going up against it.
Yeah, Renekton is pretty safe in the Camille as picks go, but you do have to worry about the Camille in mid-game teamfights especially, because what the Hextech Ultimatum becomes is a really powerful utility ability. It's essentially a scarier version of Exhaust. Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, Noel looks like he's a scarier version of whatever Renekton brings to the table here.
Camille is what you're describing there, Grandin.
It's the nightmare in his dreams. And oh my goodness, Archie, he's already going to force them out. They're looking for a little bit of a trade here in the jungle. They're going deep in. But the blast cone will save them, and BRU visualizes onto the blue buff, forces the flash away from the Soda. Owens, he has to get away, but the heal won't save him. It's first blood for BRU.
If you're running the Soda, you're banking on the late game. There's no excuse for trying to contest that early. There's no way that breaks your way. So a little bit of a mistake there from Boom as they step up into that fight kind of awkwardly.
And how critical is this, TJ? Because you talk so much about Boom having to survive to a point where they have that on-demand crowd control to pair with the gold card. If they're losing the bot side early on and helping Kidamon scale up faster, is this going to make things worse? Oh my goodness, this might make things worse. Cataclysm gets locked down first, but the Destiny's going to come through. They actually take down one right away. Fly Arthur comes back in with the gold card. Well, it's too little too late.
Yeah, kind of crazy again from Boom because Owens doesn't even have Crescendo yet. Gov doesn't even have the explosive cast yet. That lane becomes so scary once they have those two abilities up. It's insane that Xiaoqi is trying to gank that earlier. Xiaoqi should be waiting until all of that CC is up. You're Jarvan, you can spend this early game just kind of farming, living your best life, fishing at your villa house by the lake, you know? You don't need to be rushing into a bottom lane fight, especially versus a Kai'Sa Braum, a duo that's exceptionally strong during the early game. Normally we talk about Kai'Sa being really powerful during the early game. That's because each of her auto attacks does two things. First of all, it obviously does damage. Second of all, it procs a mark due to her passive. So if she gets 6 consecutive auto attacks, which is very easy to do in the early game, she gets extra damage. You time that as well with a Braum who's also rewarding those auto attacks. It's just really scary to lane against, to fight early. So I don't know why you're forcing that when your own lane hasn't hit their power spot.
Yeah, I think you've taken a good chunk out of Skimmy's book there, TJ. Must have had your arms crossed because that was a really smart point that you made. Except though, Boom Esports will take the tempo on the top side and the Baron lane, send Noel back first, but instead they get some pressure around the Dragon and we're looking at an early skirmish here by the river.
Yeah, this is scary for Boom. Again, they don't win these early game exchanges. You have hit level 5, so they need to just combo these ults really well.
Yeah, but they're looking to force it either way. Glacier Fisher comes through. Zig's ultimate's massive. The cleansing over to the backline. They're looking to take down the TF first. Flyarthur's gone. And so are Owens. Wind becomes sliding a little bit more damage on the Cell T with the Ignite ticking down. And Camille, he joins back into the fight. He takes down more. 4 dead on the side of Boom Esports.
And I haven't even finished my sentence by the time you've seen 2 ult, the Crescendo and the explosive cask eaten up by Supporter Shield. That may be the most impactful Braum shield we're going to see this tournament, as it ate up all of the CC at the critical first fight of the game. There was no initiation. The big fight tools were down. Take a look at this again. Wow.
Not a good window at all here, DJ.
And what do you do at this point? You just have to run away as best you can. Boom can't get their key carries out. I said it was going to be late game. I said Boom needed to wait for the hyper late game to win this. That kind of late game window has just gotten later and later.
Yeah, extremely impatient, but this might help them a little bit. Redemption is going to give a little bit more life to support but still a double kill for Tops in the top side.
Okay, so a taste of what this Twisted Fate should enable, and they're going to use that to try and challenge for this Rift Herald.
Definitely trying to put the pressure on. Shiba secures it at the very least. Some safety from Archony, but that's about it there.
Rift Herald does end up going over to BURIRAM, and Archony is going to get a free farm in the middle of the map as well, taking one of the first plates of the game. So the gold lead swings away from Boom. It's pretty devastating at this point.
And curious to see double Rod of Ages for Boom Esports. Both Fly Arthur and Gov making their way to start off their build path. This is going to be a pretty interesting start. Boom Esports, I feel like going to lack a little bit of damage moving into some of these mid-game fights, but I'm not sure if they even want to take these anymore.
Yeah, I think you can. If you find the initiation, it's all about those ultimate cooldowns. Okay. I'm struggling because Gov did just get a random kill onto Kinemon, and I don't know how much gold he got from that. But I think he may be farming. I think they may be passing at least some of the gold in the bottom lane over to Gov's Gragas, as opposed to Owens on the Sona.
Yep. So it could be trying to funnel into the Gragas. And we've seen Gov playing that angle before. Yeah, let's take a look back at this fight again.
Wow. Just a really good use of the explosive cask flash to chase. And it earns Boom much needed leeway as the late game carry from BURIRAM is that Kai'Sa. If they can go ahead and threaten her early, get their own teamfight threats online, it's very impactful. They have both these key ultimates up as the skirmish develops.
Well, key ultimates available, but I'm not sure if the fight under the
Rome
turret is
shield
what they're
spam.
looking for. Once again, they get the catch of the Kinemon. Looks like a repeat of that replay, DJ. Cataclysm just to lock in for the kill, and they secure it. Xiaoqi picks it up.
And Gov is just walking his team to victory, tossing his team to victory. Here we go with a gold card.
Fight extends to the mid side. Tuff's still alive after all that. Concussive blows won't be able to do too much to the Renekton. He finally goes down, but he bought enough time for Boom Esports to come online. They're flashing forward, looking to take them down. The wild cards connects on the two more dead, and picked up for Boom Esports.
And look at how much the Sona damage boost does in those fights. As Fly Arthur all of a sudden is doing way more damage than he should at this gold spike at just a Rod of Ages. Boom Esports are running a really scary team composition, and through a series of very carefully chosen fights, they've repaired the damage that was done to them during the early game. This is anyone's game.
I'm quite curious to see as well. Redemption completed for the Braum, so a little bit less tanky, but gives them a bit more sustain. I think that BURIRAM United are going to look to go for slightly longer exchanges here, TJ.
I like to go for Redemption on the Braum as well because it's a utility pick. It can give you a little bit of extra vision. It can heal up your key carries. It's flexible. If you're not worried about taking sustained damage, as I don't think he is, it's a decent choice.
BURIRAM United will find the first turret in the mid lane. That's the power of the Zig Satchel combo. Get the Satchel off with the Rift Herald, secures the turret. That's a decent amount of gold back, but it just about evens things up. And we're looking at a much closer game than we may have initially expected. Boom Esports, after their win against Divine, people weren't quite sure what to expect. Divine, post-game, did mention they had a couple issues going into that series. So Boom Esports, we're a little bit curious of how this will play out, but holding their own against BRU here.
Yeah, a lot of people, in fact, weighting this matchup against them quite heavily. Our entire analyst desk predicting BURIRAM to come up on top. But Boom are certainly making a case here. Now, as we head into the mid-game, this, what you've just seen result in that turret take-up on the top side, is going to become a problem for Boom. They have a team-fight-heavy composition. They are really good when they can chain those stuns together, and they have a couple individual units that can find value, mostly revolving around that Renekton. But if they're not able to get those 5v5s and they're forced to play on a split map, it's really scary.
Yeah, Renekton did manage to find some value by taking down Shiba, but a nice trade back by Noel. Moves over to the side lane. Exos comes through the gold card. That's the on-demand crowd control. They managed to find Archony on the top side, but not with enough damage to follow through. Cataclysm comes in as they get the hook shot for the knock-up. With a stun onto Xiaoqi, but he has a gargoyle stoneplay. He's still alive. And finally, they take him down with the tactical sweep, but it was so close there.
Opting into a 1v2, down bottom, there's the crescendo.
Stalls off BRU and supporting Kinemon. We want to put some pressure down bot side. They have a strong dual lane matchup, but won't be able to get the kills here.
And with that challenge up close, it's very hard for Boom to survive this. It's going to keep going here. Shiba.
They've gone for the full-on dive. They decided this is enough. They've waited long enough. They're moving on to Gov too. Takes down a second, but Tuff's joined into the fight now. Destiny will come through, and they're looking to pick off a couple more stragglers. Support are very low, so just going to back away, but Noel's going to be there to play bodyguard, make sure this team's safe.
So, really interesting focus by BURIRAM. They're targeting Gov and Owens as kind of late-game carry threats, which they're right to do. Sona, in particular, is very scary once you get to the late game. And Boom also make a mistake, simultaneous to that very clever targeting from BURIRAM. You see Xiaoqi kind of jump into a 1v2 for, I don't know, no describable reason. Jarvan doesn't have a lot of damage, so it's not a fight that he's going to win any day, even though they are low. And it clearly wasn't common to Fly Arthur, who didn't follow up on the engage.
I can see the ambition there, but Gov, he's just been massive with these casts. Finding catches on Kinemon and Archony, panning out very well for his team.
Gov does more work with the explosive cask than some supports do on like traditional engage characters. He does more work with that explosive cask than some Leonas do.
Yeah, he feels like he's playing Blitzcrank. He feels like he has all the upsides of a Blitzcrank with none of the downsides.
It's crazy. And he's doing so much damage as well because they're playing Owens kind of as the support. Gov is going to be really hurting with these explosive casks.
So getting some additional damage on this Greg, it looks like things are panning well for Boom Esports and kind of defying expectation. Moving up
in the top side, Fly Arthur is threatened as BURIRAM rotate up towards him.
Yeah, trying to contest towards the jungle now. Both sides really playing at have a stalemate here, TJ.
A stalemate enforced around this Drake. Neither team wants to take a risk right now. Neither team wants to be the ones that lose 2-3 players. Because if you do, you won't be able to fight for this Ocean Drake that is coming up in just about 40 seconds. So here's the play to punish it.
They start off eventually once again. It's back-to-back catches onto the Ziggs. Goldcard won't be able to find it, and over by the side, the Ignite's sticking him down low. Southie's the first to fall, and they follow through with Shiba coming in for the double. They're moving on to Tufts now. The Dominus won't save him. He goes golden to try and buy time. With the Glacial Fissure building space between Boom Esports, they watch as the Renekton falls as a triple for Shiba comes through.
And Noel even lives on 1 HP. It's a tragedy. Boom Esports go for an aggressive play through Fly Arthur's TP, but they don't bring their damage. They need to fight as 5 without Owens' damage amplification. This roster just does not do enough damage to take a 5v5, and you see that fall apart there in the 3v3. It'll give BURIRAM the lease on life to start this Baron.
They're doing the best they can, though. Teleport coming in, but it's a little bit too late. Double teleport committed to this fight, so Gov, he's still in the pursuit. He's looking at his chase. Huge boys slam onto 2, but they knock them back. The Crescent Guard gives them the space to get away. Then the turret and BRU will escape with their lives.
Huge engage again from Gov, who's playing his heart out, but it's not enough to get Boom back into a scenario where they've already lost the Baron, and all of the Barons picked up by BURIRAM are able to survive it. Meaning that we're going to head now into a very dangerous couple of minutes as BURIRAM push forward with the Baron. That should ensure that they get this Drake, which is just going to snowball an advantage over to BURIRAM before Boom have finished coming online. You see the beginnings of them coming online right now. As Gov gets a Rabadons, he's going to be very scary. I think with one more item from Owens, he's going to be able to finally contest as the full damage amp that late game Sona can provide. But they're not there yet, or isn't complete on Fly Arthur, and Boom don't have everything they want to end this game to be able to contest late game team fights.
I mean, Gov's your main man. He's still trying to hold them together. But Boom Esports, they're being shoved back. I'm not sure they're going to ever hit that window, TJ. The Sona pick, like you mentioned, it helps them so much when they get to that point where they have the power to fight these and take these trades. But it feels like, as well, Braum has been doing a great job with the Unbreakable to slow a lot of the engage coming through. Excelsior, I say that Warlock for the engage to jump back onto the Ziggs, finds a decent amount of crowd control, but they're falling apart. Over to the back, Shiba is making a mess of the base. He flashes away from the Nexus, and they shred it down, taking down Boom Esports. They're onto the Nexus, looking to grab game 1, just 15 minutes in.